In today's tutorial, I'll introduce you to our newest buffalo plaid templates. They come in many colors, so be sure to pop on over to our website and check them out. I'll put a link in the description box below. I'll show you how to add your own photo and personal message to make these one-of-a-kind Christmas ornaments. Hi everyone! In today's tutorial, we'll be using these wooden ornaments to put images onto, and I'm going to share with you 3 different techniques for doing this. The ornaments measure about 3 3/4 inches, and the first technique I'll show you is just regular decoupage, where we take a printed image and we adhere it to the ornament using Mod Podge. The next 2 will be applying a laminate, which I've cut out here. And this is just these 3M lamination pouches. I'm going to apply that onto the wood, and then this will allow the sublimated image to adhere to the ornament. And the third one is I took the same ornament here and I sprayed it with a high temp white paint. And I've let that dry overnight, and again I will go ahead and apply the laminate, and then we'll substrate the image onto this. This way we can compare all 3 when they're finished, and we can look at the pros and cons of each one. So before you get started, what you'll need to do is go ahead and remove this little cap right here. Now it's not glued on very tightly, so if you get something that you can just pop under here and just pry that off, go ahead and do that and remove it. That way you're going to have a nice even surface to put under your heat press. So following this introduction, I will do a software tutorial, and it's short, and it will show you how to put your image into our new templates here. These are the Buffalo Plaid collection. We have a bunch of different colors, so be sure to check those out. So I'll show you how to drag and drop your photo into these, and also how to do some custom messaging on top of the photo. So while the heat press is heating up, I think I'm going to go ahead and start with the decoupage part of it so that it gets a chance to dry. So let me bring all my supplies into view here. So I'm just using the gloss luster decoupage, or Mod Podge rather. I'll pour just a little bit out onto the lid, and then I'm just going to put a generous coat. And you do have to work quickly because this stuff dries fast. That yucky bit off. Actually, I think I need a bit more here. Alright, so I got that done. Then I just printed this image out on cardstock, just using my inkjet printer, and I need to make sure that I've got this on here correctly. Alright, looks like I could use a little bit more under here. There we go. So I'm going to put that face down, and then I'll just put my heat tape dispenser on top of that and let that dry. Hi guys, this will be the software part of the tutorial. So I'm using Photoshop CC 2020. Any program that supports PNG file format should also work for this project. So I've got an 8.5 by 11 document, 300 dpi open on my screen. And then I've pulled in one of the new templates. This is the red buffalo plaid, and it is a PNG file. You can see that by the checkerboard pattern that indicates transparency in Photoshop. And then I have a family photo that I have cropped into a circle. So the first thing I'm going to do is just select that photo, hit Control C on my keyboard, go over to my document, hit Control V. Then I'll do the same thing with the template. Just click on it to select, Control C, and Control V. Now the ornament that I'll be using is 3.75 inches, so I need to adjust the template to fit that. So these templates do come sized at 6 inches, 300 dpi. So I want to give myself a little bit of a bleed or a margin. So instead of 3.75, I'm going to put 3.9, and I've got my lock highlighted here. So when I hit the enter key, it resizes it for me and maintains the aspect ratio. So next I'm just going to click on the photo and just drag that so that it fits inside the template. Now there's a couple of ways that you can put messaging on this. You could use curved text on the top and also on the bottom. Things to consider are, if the ornament has a hole up here to use as the hanger, you'll have to be conscious of that when you place your text. But rather than do curved text today, I wanted to give you another alternative. So what I'm going to do is click on the layer that is the photo layer. Then I'm going to say add new layer. I'm going to make sure that my color palette is set to white. So I've got my white selected. And then when I go into the draw tools, oops, I picked the wrong thing here. Here we go. I'll choose the rectangle tool, and then I'm just going to draw a white rectangle over the photo. Okay, now we can make adjustments to the size of this, but for now I just want to place it, and then I'm going to add my text. So I'll go up to the text tool, and I want to change the color to something other than white, so I'll choose black. And then I'm going to type my message. Okay, so I think I'll make this lower part a slightly smaller text. Maybe make that 60. Let's go in a little bit closer here so you can see. And then I'll just center that within the rectangle. Now I can move this around a little bit. If I wanted to bring it a little bit down on the page, I could certainly do that. And depending on the photo, you could put this up at the top. In this instance, it wouldn't work because it would cover their faces, but it would just depend on the photograph. So while I've got that highlighted, I'm going to double click to the right of the layer, and then I'm going to add a drop shadow and a bevel and emboss. Then I'm going to click on the rectangle layer. So this one here, do the same thing, double click to the right of the layer. I'm going to do a bevel and emboss, a drop shadow, but I'm also going to add a stroke. And you can change the color by clicking this icon here. And I had chosen a golden color from one of the pumpkins. I thought that looked really nice being a Christmas theme. And then you can change the size of it by using this slider bar right here. And then I'll click OK. So that's another way that you could add messaging to an ornament. So I'm really happy with this. So the next thing I need to do is just send this off to my printer. And I'm going to do this in two ways. I'm going to send one to the Sublimation printer, and I'll sublimate this on laminate. But I also wanted to do one where I just print it to my regular inkjet printer, and then we'll treat it as a decoupage project by using the Mod Podge. So let me get these sent off to the printer, and then we'll get started on the next part of the tutorial. So I'm out at my heat press, and I'm setting up what would be a pressing pillow. I've got a folded towel, and then I'll place that ironing board material that I use. Just that's also folded, and this will give me a nice cushion. If you have a pressing pillow, go ahead and use that. Then I'm going to take my wooden ornament, and you should pre-press the ornament to get any moisture out of it before you apply the laminate. Then I'll put the laminate rough side down, shiny side up, and then I'm going to place that between a sheet of parchment paper that I folded in half. And this will be pressed at 360 degrees Fahrenheit for 120 seconds. and my press is set for medium pressure. And that ironing board material, you can get that at most fabric stores. It really works out great for a pressing pillow. And you can see that came out beautiful, and it just adds a really nice honey tone to the wood. I think it looks really pretty. And then I'll just repeat that process with the sublimation print on top. So again, that's 360 degrees for 120 seconds. You can check it at 60 seconds and see how you like it. Mine came out great at the 120 seconds. Okay, so the ornaments are all finished, and I did add a few finishing touches to them. I went ahead and attached the wooden part to the top, and then I decorated the edges. I did some gold paint, and then I had some stickers, in my collection. This sticker sheet here, and I just took those strips, and they match perfectly in size to go around the outside of the ornaments. So I thought that was a nice finishing touch. So let's go ahead and look at the differences between the techniques. So let's look at the natural one first. So this was the natural wood, so that would be this color right here. I went ahead and put the thermal laminate on top of that. Then I sublimated the image on top of the laminate. So as you can see, it's got a nice rustic look to it. And where the image would be white, it has come through with the natural wood. So that looks really nice, and it's got a nice sheen to it because I used the glossy laminate. And then I decided to go ahead and put a piece of clip art on the back. So here you can see what the wood looks like without the laminate. This is what it looks like with the laminate. So it really riches the tone of the color. And then I really like adding this little clip art piece on the back. You could also put information about the family. For example, a lot of times I'll get cards that lists, the children's names and then their current ages. So that's kind of a nice little technique if you wanted to do that. So now then, let's look at the one that I sprayed white. Now this is the product that I used. It's by Rust-Oleum, and it's high heat, so it resists heat up to 1200 degrees. So you're able to use this under your heat press with no problems. The other good news is I got this at Home Depot for under $5. So that was a pretty good deal. So what you would expect with this is a much clearer picture. So where the whites are supposed to be white, for example here, they came out great. So you've got that nice white look. The picture looks a little bit more crisper. The graphics come out better, in this case the red buffalo plaid. And then with the laminate on top of it, it gives it a nice glossy look. So now let's compare this one to the Decoupage project. So this is where we used the Mod Podge. Now there are other products out there. If you didn't want to use Mod Podge, there are a bunch of different spray acrylics that you could use in place of that. But that's what I had on hand, and I wanted to really, just for my own benefit, I really wanted to have a look and see what the differences would be. So the first one is the whites are definitely much whiter because this has been printed on my inkjet printer using a white cardstock. So I would expect those to be nice and bright and white. The image came out crisp, the graphics came out crisp. I would say the only difference is the laminate gives this a much shinier look and also gives the colors a bit more depth. So that would be the only difference. Again, if I used a different spray on here, I may be able to achieve that same look that I get with the laminate. But I think they both actually look very good. So if you have sublimation equipment and that's your preference, I would suggest these two techniques here are fantastic. If you still would like to use these templates but you do not have sublimation equipment, you can use Mod Podge or a similar item and just print your own graphics and adhere them using this technique. So that's all of the ornaments today. I hope this has inspired you to try this. So that's it for today's demonstration.